In the 1960s, the American automotive world was living through its wildest and most competitive era. Ford, Chevrolet, and Chrysler were not only fighting for market dominance, but also for supremacy on racetracks across the country. It was the height of the so-called horsepower war, a technological arms race where each manufacturer aimed to prove who could build the most powerful, durable, and fastest engines. NASCAR became the main battlefield, and race cars turned into rolling laboratories of engineering, pushing every limit in performance, speed, and innovation. Ford, frustrated with seeing Chrysler's HEMI engines dominate competitions and capture the imagination of racing fans, decided to strike back with something revolutionary, a project that would not only challenge the competition, but also test the very limits of automotive engineering. This bold undertaking resulted in the legendary Ford 427 OHC, later nicknamed the Cammer. It was designed to be the ultimate performance engine, capable of crushing rivals, but it quickly became so powerful and unpredictable that even Carroll Shelby, known for his audacity and expertise with high-performance vehicles, called it too dangerous to race. Its development pushed engineers to experiment with new materials and tolerances that were considered cutting edge at the time, reflecting Ford's willingness to take extreme risks for the sake of dominance in racing. In 1964, Ford engineers were given an almost impossible mission: to design and build, in record time, an engine capable of defeating Chrysler's dominant 426 Hemi on the racetrack. The result was the 427 SOHC, a massive 7-liter V8 based on the already highly respected FE 427 block, but with a revolutionary twist. Unlike most American engines of the era, the Cammer employed a single overhead camshaft per cylinder bank, which allowed for significantly higher engine speeds and more precise valve timing. Each cylinder head contained a camshaft driven by an extraordinarily long chain, measuring over 1.2 meters, operating large valves that allowed the engine to breathe more efficiently than anything Ford had ever produced. The engine featured a lightweight aluminum intake manifold, high-flow carburetors, and carefully balanced internal components designed for maximum RPM and reliability under extreme conditions. In street form, the Cammer was capable of delivering around 620 horsepower, but racing versions easily exceeded 700 horsepower, with some prototypes reportedly reaching nearly 900 horsepower in unofficial dynamometer tests. The sheer force of the engine was extreme, even by modern standards, and it immediately gained a reputation as a machine that was more than most drivers could safely handle. Engineers constantly tested new cam profiles, valve springs, and exhaust setups, always pushing the boundaries to extract every ounce of power, while drivers were left trying to control a beast that often felt uncontrollable. The Cammer's design also influenced future Ford racing engines, laying the groundwork for innovations that would persist in high-performance engineering for decades. Carroll Shelby, a man who had already proven himself handling some of the most ferocious cars in racing history, was among the first to test the Cammer's terrifying potential. Having built legendary cars like the Shelby Cobra and the Daytona Coupe, vehicles that challenged Ferrari and Corvette with raw V8 power, Shelby thought he had seen it all. But the Cammer was an entirely different beast. Its torque arrived explosively and unpredictably, making the car incredibly difficult to control, especially at high speeds. Shelby described the engine as an untamable monster, acknowledging that it produced more power than any chassis of the time could handle safely. In practice, the Cammer frequently tore transmissions apart, snapped axles, and destroyed differentials within minutes of heavy use. On drag strips, however, the engine shone, turning cars like Mustangs and Galaxies into legends, capable of covering the quarter-mile in record times. Even so, on actual road circuits, the engine's behavior was almost suicidal. Shelby famously said that putting the Cammer in a race car would be like handing a man a live grenade and asking him to run with the pin still in his hand. The phrase, "too dangerous to race," became synonymous with the engine, a reflection of both its incredible potential and the risk it posed. Drivers reported that the car's acceleration could literally lift the front wheels off the ground if not properly managed, and even the most experienced test drivers had to adjust their approach constantly to avoid catastrophic failure. The Cammer's extreme power soon drew attention beyond Shelby and Ford engineers. reaching the regulatory bodies of NASCAR itself. When Ford submitted the engine for homologation, officials realized that it was not merely an upgrade. It was a technological revolution. The 427 SOHC was far ahead of its time, a machine that challenged the very limits of what racing cars were designed to withstand. NASCAR, citing the fact that the engine was not available in production cars and concerned about safety, decided to ban the Camry from official competitions in 1965. This effectively ended its career in circuit racing and created frustration within Ford, which had invested millions of dollars into the project. The company had hoped to showcase American engineering dominance and capture headlines with victories on tracks nationwide. But the Camry's potential was simply too extreme for existing rules and infrastructure. Despite the ban, the engine found a second life in drag racing, where independent racers could exploit its extraordinary power without regulatory restrictions. In these competitions, the Camry became a legend, pushing vehicles to speeds exceeding 200 miles per hour, a feat that seemed almost unimaginable for the era. It demonstrated that Ford engineers had created a machine capable of dominating straight-line racing like no other. Enthusiasts still tell stories of how a single Camry-equipped car could outrun multiple competitors, leaving a trail of awe, smoke, and shattered expectations in its wake. The innovations introduced in the Camry program, such as precise camshaft timing and advanced valve train design, would influence American high-performance engineering for years to come. Even though the 427 SOHC had a short official life, its impact on automotive history was profound. It represented the peak of Ford's audacity in the 1960s, showcasing how bold engineering decisions could create machines that were ahead of their time. Carroll Shelby's verdict, calling it too dangerous to race, was not a critique but an acknowledgement of its extreme performance and the limitations of the vehicles and safety measures of the era. The Camry became a symbol of a golden era in American motorsport, a reminder that sometimes innovation surpasses regulations and even human capability. Today, the Camry is one of the rarest and most sought-after engines in the world, coveted by collectors and restorers for its historical significance and engineering brilliance. Only a few dozen units were ever produced, each representing a snapshot of an era when automotive innovation pushed beyond conventional limits and speed was pursued with near-religious fervor. The engine's legacy continues to inspire engineers, racers, and car enthusiasts who see it as a perfect combination of raw power, mechanical creativity, and unyielding ambition. The Camry stands as a testament to a time when engineers dared to dream bigger, and when Carroll Shelby recognized that some machines, no matter how brilliant, were too powerful for the racetrack. In hindsight, the 427 SOHC is not just an engine. It is a symbol of ambition, ingenuity, and the unrelenting pursuit of performance, forever cemented in the history of American motorsport, representing the fearless spirit of innovation and the relentless quest for speed, and serving as a timeless benchmark for what is possible when engineers refuse to accept limits.